I found this Pokemon list on Ranker, and it really caught my attention because it's about the missing links in Pokemon evolution. Kind of like that second stage Pokemon that feels like it should be there, or something else to kind of justify the evolutionary line. And then when I saw the first picture, I thought, I need to make a video about this. This is really awesome looking, the artist needs to be spotlighted, and it feels like something I did back with Pokemon Go, and I really enjoyed making this video. It's kind of fun reacting to whatever these community creations that some of the people come up with. This one was about like the impossible Pokemon in Pokemon Go, because some of them can weigh insanely tiny amounts, or be like really small Pokemon that kind of don't make any sense. Like this 2-kilogram Pidgeot. It looks completely starved, but you can find them in Pokemon Go, so it's pretty fun to react to. There's also like a 0-kilogram Flareon. That thing just blows away in the wind. But this video right here is going to be from In Progress Pokemon. So I have a DeviantArt page and a Tumblr, and they just kind of show like the extra evolutionary lines in Pokemon. What I saw, this is pretty cool, and it seems like they're kind of making another push, you know, making an effort to get this account up to date, and this was back in April 2nd. So it looks like we could be looking forward to more posts, and also just an expansion on this in-between Pokedex. But I really like the Wormadam line, that this actually feels like a second stage evolution, and then the half Mothim, half Wormadam, still a male kind of thing. It's pretty cool as well. But then also going to some of the other ones on the Tumblr, you can kind of click on the index and see which ones have and have not been done. But this list on Ranker kind of already like puts them with the most voted and takes maybe some of the best ones. Since there's only 26, I doubt it's all of them, so it can be a nice little sample. If you want to check out the artist further, everything will be in the description below. This is actually pretty cool. It seems about right. You just have Kabuto there, and then going into Kabutops, it's quite the big jump, but this one feels like a middle evolutionary line that's proportionally balanced and feels like something that would fit inside a Pokemon, and it might be the best, but we'll see like how these other ones go, because it is the top rated. And this is as far as I made it. I kind of want to have some reactions as well, such as with the Vulpix evolution. I thought Vulpix in a Ninetales made a lot of sense, but second evolutionary line, it just kind of shows that it's getting a lighter color and the tails are starting to become a little bit more full. I don't think it's as necessary, but it's still not bad. I will give it that. So then we can, oh, Teddiursa into Ursaring. I never really thought about it. Like, that's one interesting thing about this list right here, is that kind of challenges what you've anticipated and what you've just kind of grown up with in Pokemon. That a lot of these two-stage Pokemon, they go from, you know, like Exeggcute and Exeggutor, some of these small Pokemon into larger Pokemon, is something that's kind of accepted, so challenging that might feel a little strange, but also at the same time could work. Like, I really think that the Kabuto and the Kabutops works, but I don't think Teddiursa and Ursaring makes much sense with the middle stage line. It feels like it for the size of the beast, but overall I think it did a really good job, just kind of like little cub bear into massive mauling bear. Sentret into Furret. It seems like more of a split evolutionary line for me on this one. I'd actually like to see that a bit more. That, okay, it still like hangs out on its tail a bit, and it's starting to more elongate into a Furret. But yeah, Sentret was always one of those Pokemon that's kind of forgotten, and Furret is in that boat as well, but it's a bit more memorable because it's just like a noodly little ferret Pokemon. That's pretty cool. And I think that this would actually be like better as a split evolution into something like that it's more Sentret-like, but at least a little bit more grown up and evolved. Next one we have is Exeggcute and Exeggutor. So the reason why I actually made that comment earlier is I've seen this picture in either my Facebook feed or also in my Twitter feed at some point. I didn't know the artist because there wasn't any credit, or I didn't see anything like that. But yeah, I saw this, I thought, oh, that's kind of an interesting idea, that the whole Exeggcute line has always been kind of silly because we have this like cracked open one. Is it dead? It still kind of like bounces around and engages with the rest of them, so that's kind of awkward. But then like this one just kind of goes and cracks and hatches into a palm tree, and then we have the two other eggs here, and then the rest become the heads. So I don't know how it works, but yeah, that seems like something that works out as a middle evolution. Whoa! That's a lot. So yeah, the artist also isn't really like staying canon to Pokemon. You know, we have like 5 and 4 stage Pokemon. So I could also understand this as maybe like an in-between. That, you know how when there's like a bright flash of light, that in the anime, you know, the Pokemon kind of morphs in a bright flash of light, or in the game, you can actually see like the Pokemon kind of like shifting around or bouncing between its forms. So also kind of like as an in-between stage for those forms. I think that's also a point of like the whole in-progress Pokemon idea. That's a Pokemon that's in the progress of evolving, if not also like its own standalone evolution. Like some of these are standalone, and some of these kind of show up as an in-progress. Like Swinub into Piloswine, yeah, it seems like it just kind of like starts growing the tusk, gets a little more shaggier, and then into the Mamoswine for like just a beastly kind of Pokemon. Also, if you just kind of like cut out Piloswine, or not Piloswine, if you cut out Swinub from this, it seems like these three would be like a cool little evolutionary line on their own as well. Golduck into Psyduck. Again, it's one of those things I grew up with. I can kind of see how it makes sense, you know, since Psyduck is always like holding its head, and in the anime, whenever its migraine gets so severe it can start using psychic powers, I kind of understand that it only needs like one hand on its head to kind of focus its psychic powers when it needs to for attacks, but also still has a mild little annoying headache. So it does work, but I think we find that the other problem is that for a Pokemon like Golduck, it doesn't feel justified as a third stage evolutionary Pokemon. That feels about right as a second stage, so having it kind of work so hard, you know, you have to have Psyduck, then evolve it again just for Golduck, it feels like it's not a lot of effort for the payoff. So that'd also be like another thing, is kind of taking it to the next level, or modifying the Pokemon's design based off of the second intermediate evolutionary form, and then kind of going further from there. I think that could also be another cool take on the way that these evolutions are done. That's just freaky. Okay, yeah, so that's definitely an improv. I think like for the three-stage Pokemon, it seems like it's more of like the in-progress during the evolution, like kind of how that transformation happens, because that seems like how I don't even know, it almost looks painful when you have to think about how does a Dragonair become a Dragonite overall. You know, it has to take that big leap somewhere, and then everything just kind of sprouts out. And, oh, by the way, you got a chubby Dragonite from a, you know, really elegant and thin serpent kind of monster. But yeah, I guess there's kind of a pattern there that some of these more like the the Pokemon that only have one evolution. That seems like the Pokemon that have one evolution kind of fits something in the middle, and maybe it kind of stands alone as a Pokemon, but for the rest of them, it's those in between for the evolution. And then, yeah, Dratini and Dragonair makes a bit of sense. The Ariados one is actually a great example of what feels like, you know, generational bug that could have gone for all three and still make a lot of sense. You know, Ariados, if it was just a bit more menacing or a bit more like strong and intimidating. But yeah, that seems like almost official art right there for the Spinarak evolution before the Ariados. That could actually maybe have made the Pokemon a bit more memorable and a lot cooler like that. So yeah, I think that's another angle, is like trying to kind of improve on the final Pokemon if you're kind of putting that in between. That this doesn't feel like an in-between evolution kind of morph. It feels like its own standalone Pokemon, and I think that's more what I was expecting with the list, and kind of what I like to see. Oh, that's pretty neat. So I like the idea of like this puff into like a blossoming kind of puff idea. The weird thing about this one is that it doesn't look close enough to Jumpluff to kind of be like an evolution kind of morph to it. It almost seems like a split evolution once again. If this maybe was a bit more different, because I can see where it's becoming Jumpluff, but I also feel like if it was a bit different, it could maybe like take just like a big blossoming kind of flower thing that uses Twirlwound a bit more than like the Skiploom, and then also kind of work as a split evolutionary line. Okay, that's weird. Again, it feels like the Dragonair one, where it's more in progress for that morph and not really its own evolutionary Pokemon. But yeah, it's kind of like a cool idea thinking how the Pokemon kind of evolve, like what it takes for one stage to become into the other. And that's what we have for the starter evolutionary line. Like, whoa, that's kind of creepy, but also works in its own way. Yeah, that Sunkern just kind of becomes the bulb of which the flower, so the bulb has to like split open for the nutrients and stuff. So that's kind of something right there. And I think I might actually just end the video here pretty shortly, because I realize that as we go into it, it's kind of the same idea, that every time I just go, oh, that's neat or cool or whatever. Actually, that's actually really clever what they did right here. That notice how when we go into Bayleef into Meganium, there's no more leaf. Chikorita's leaf kind of isn't there anymore, and it more becomes this blossoming flower. So it kind of shows like the older part of the plant dying off, and then the newer part kind of sprouting up. That would have actually been really cool if Chikorita was a bit different. Like if Chikorita was a bit more developed, and then this was kind of the Meganium form, and then going into, or Bayleef form, and then this was going into Meganium for the evolutionary line. But again, I feel there's not much more commentary I can add to it. I kind of don't want to show all of the artist's work, so that way you can like go, and if you really are interested in this, you can go and support the artist and see what other Pokemon that you want to take a look at. Like you can just click on the generation for it and then see the evolutions from there. Like let's see what they have for Muna and Musharna on the Tumblr. So yeah, it's kind of like closing its eyes and just becoming more like a Musharna. So again, that actually kind of makes sense as a evolution to Munna. And sometimes they're even named. Oh, I didn't even notice the names on this one. I don't think the names are on this at just in progress Pokemon Wingull Pelipper. But with this, you can actually see some like the created names as well for it. So this would be Musomna, I guess, for like insomnia in its own way. So yeah, maybe getting a little bit of creativity on the names as well. So if you guys want to explore some of this fun, there we go. I just thought it was pretty cool, something to commentate on, just kind of diversify the content a little. And really, just after seeing the Kabutops one, I was like, yo, that's the coolest one. But I feel something worthy of giving my commentary on. If you guys agree, please leave a like. If you don't, yeah, you can dislike it, because it's kind of one of those weird videos as I just kind of explore other Pokemon content that isn't directly game related, since Pokemon Sun and Moon is pretty dead right now until we get that new game announcement. So if you guys enjoy the video, hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.